आपका स्वागत करते हैं। रंग संवाद या रंग संधान का ये आयोजन हम रजा फाउंडेशन और संस्कृति मंत्रालय के सहयोग से इस बार आयोजित कर रहे हैं। कल आपने मोहन महर्षि से अपनी रंग जीवन, रंग प्रक्रिया इत्यादि के बारे में सुना था और आज आप प्रसन्ना, और ये कई वर्षों से नटरंग प्रतिष्ठान ये आयोजन करता आया है और इसमें हम अभी तक हबीब तनवीर, मास्टर फिदा हुसैन, फैजल अलकाजी, अनामिका अक्सर, अरविंद गौड़, महेश एल कुंचवार, बंसी कौल, राजेंद्र नाथ, नंदकिशोर आचार्य, विजया मेहता, सत्यदेव दुबे, जोहरा सहगल, नीलम मानसिंह, बी जयश्री, एम के रैना, अनुराधा कपूर आदि से ऐसा ही संवाद आयोजित करते हैं। इस संवाद में जो रंगकर्मी को हम बुलाते हैं उससे ये तवक्को होती है कि वो हमें अपने रंग जीवन के बारे में, अपनी प्रक्रिया के बारे में, अपनी कठिनाइयों और उत्सुकताओं के बारे में, अपनी रंग जीवन गाथा हमें बताएगा। और ये एक तरह का दस्तावेजीकरण भी है, इसे हम रिकॉर्ड भी करते हैं। बाद में अवसर होगा जब आप में से कोई प्रश्न पूछना चाहें तो उसका भी। आप प्रसन्ना, वैसे तो जो यहाँ लोग बैठे हैं वो सब उनसे परिचित हैं, वो वरिष्ठ तो हैं क्योंकि अब गंजे तक हो गए हैं। नवलकेशी भी हैं मेरी ही तरह, हालांकि इससे तो ये 10 बरस छोटे हैं। इनका जन्म 1951 में हुआ और इन्होंने राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय से शिक्षण प्राप्त किया। 1982 में उन्होंने समुदाय की स्थापना की और लोक शिक्षा और परिवर्तन के लिए एक आंदोलन का रूप दिया। कन्नड़, हिंदी और अंग्रेजी में अनेक नाटकों का निर्देशन करने के अलावा उन्होंने देश के कई रंगमंच विभागों में अध्यापन भी किया है। उन्होंने दूरदर्शन और साहित्य अकादमी के लिए फिल्में बनाई। प्रसन्ना अपनी जनधर्मिता और सामाजिक राजनीतिक सरोकारों से प्रतिष्ठित रंग दृष्टि के लिए जाने जाते हैं। उनकी प्रमुख प्रस्तुतियों में तुगलक, गांधी, लाइफ ऑफ गैलीलियो, लाल घास पर नीले घोड़े, फुजियामा, उत्तर रामचरित, सीमा पार आदि। उन्होंने कन्नड़ में हुली, डांगिया, मुंचीना, डींगलू, हड्ड मिलिदा हडी, थोड़ा जाने में ठीक उच्चारण किया कि नहीं, आदि नाटकों के अलावा उपन्यास, कविताएं और आलोचना भी लिखी। अंग्रेजी में उनकी पुस्तक लेसन्स फॉर एन इंडियन एक्टर हाल ही में राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय ने प्रकाशित की है। उसकी कुछ प्रतियां बाहर हैं, वैसे उसका दाम 275 रुपये है, लेकिन आज की शाम आपको रियायती मूल्य पर 225 रुपये में मिल रहा है। जाते हुए अगर आप न ले लिया हो आते हुए, जाते हुए ले लीजिए, और प्रतियां बहुत कम है, हाथों हाथ बिक जाएंगी। रंग कर्म के अलावा प्रसन्ना उन थोड़े से लोगों में से हैं जो सामाजिक कार्य में भी शुरू से ही संलग्न रहे हैं और उन्होंने ग्रामीण महिलाओं की हाथ करघा बुनाई और प्राकृतिक रंगों के उपयोग को बढ़ावा देने के लिए एक सहकारी संस्था चरखा स्थापित और पोषित की। तो पहले जब वो कुछ कर रहे थे तो मैं एक बार गया था उनके, तब वो एक बगीचा सा था जो नया नया लगा हुआ था, हेगुड़ू में एक बार गया था, लेकिन अब वो लगता है काम और बढ़ गया है तो दोबारा जाना पड़ेगा। और उन्होंने निमंत्रण भी दिया है तो देखता हूँ कब जाता हूँ। 4 दशकों से अधिक रंग सक्रिय प्रसन्ना को 1999-2000 में निर्देशन के लिए केंद्रीय संगीत नाटक अकादमी पुरस्कार और राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय द्वारा 2007 में बाबा कारण पुरस्कार के अलावा लेखन के लिए कर्नाटक साहित्य अकादमी पुरस्कार से भी भूषित किया गया है। और इसके अलावा ये कि वो हमारे बहुत पुराने दोस्त हैं और हम सब, मैं खासकर अपने पुराने दोस्त को बहुत दिनों बाद उनसे मुलाकात हो रही सुनने के लिए। आप चाहे तो हिंदी में, चाहे तो अंग्रेजी में, या दोनों को मिलाकर। कन्नड़ में न बोलें तो यद्यपि सुनना अच्छा लगेगा, हमारी समझ में नहीं आए। प्रसन्ना।
दोस्तों, अशोक जी, रश्मि जी, सब दोस्तों, हिंदी में बोलने का प्रयास करूँगा। बीच बीच में इंग्लिश आ सकता है क्योंकि काफ़ी साल से मैं कन्नड़ में ही बोल रहा हूँ, इंग्लिश में नहीं। मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि नटरंग प्रतिष्ठान के इस पे मैं खड़ा हूँ। नेमी जी के याद करते मैं मेरा गुरु है। आई फील प्राउड ऑफ स्टैंडिंग हियर एंड लेट मी बिगिन माय टॉक। I don't think that artist is any special than a peasant or a craftsperson. So I don't think an artist has any special privilege to talk about himself or herself. So I feel a little uncomfortable talking about oneself, but then Rashmi ji has made my task easier by defining it in terms of one's concerns and one's processes and all that. So it may be of some use to the society, and so I would like to focus on that. मैं मेरे अपने भाषण को इस चीज़ से शुरू करूंगा जिसके बारे में आपको ज़्यादा जानकारी नहीं है, और वो है जो 24 साल पहले जब मैं दिल्ली छोड़कर गांव चला गया था, उसके बाद का जो मेरा यात्रा जो है उसके बारे में मैं शुरू से बोलना चाहता हूँ। दिल्ली इसलिए छोड़कर गया था मैं क्योंकि मैं बहुत परेशान था, दिल्ली से परेशान था और थिएटर से परेशान था, about the whole need for doing art. I was very disturbed. उसके बाद में जब हेगोडू गया था, शुरू में वो परेशानी रहा मेरे साथ, गुस्सा रहा मेरे साथ काफ़ी साल तक, और gradually I became a little more peaceful and a little more stable, and this stability and peacefulness happened because of the village, and I'm very grateful to the village for making me this. In order to tell you how, I think I'll stick to English, please forgive me. In order to tell you about this process, I must first mention two books that I have written in Kannada, books which are not theatre books. The title of these two books is, the first book is called Desi Jeevana Paddhati. मुझे इसको अनुवाद करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. The second book is called यंत्रಗಳನ್ನು ಕಳಚೋಣ ಬನ್ನಿ. It means, come, let us deconstruct the machine. These books have become very well known in Kannada, and these books in a way also reflect my concerns regarding the new world, the world that we have created all around us. This book is also a result of what I was trying to do in the village, which resulted in Charkha. Charkha is a cooperative society. It's a cooperative society of women, not weavers. They're all Dalit women and Shudra women from, basically from the landless peasantry and from small peasant stock. And now it has become quite a big institution. It has spread all over Karnataka, and there are almost 600 people who are directly and indirectly involved with Charkha. We have shops all over Karnataka. Desi is a trust which me and my friends started, and through Desi we are providing them a market. We are also providing a lot of other support for basically for the weaving community, but also for other village activities. One of the supports that we provide is to do advocacy work for these sectors. Some of my friends have come here from Andhra, from Dastakar Andhra, who are also doing wonderful work in Andhra. So this is what has happened. A lot of people think that this is different from what I, as a professional theatre person, is doing. It is different, but it is not different. In fact, these concerns now, after an introspection, I realize happened because of theatre. It is now I look at theatre in opposition to the machine-made entertainment, and now I understand the tension between the handmade theatre or the body-made theatre and the machine-made television and cinema, which was what was bothering me primarily, apart from the bother that you had about the big city and its pollution and its noise and all that. The basic problem that I was having was this problem of the machine inside my own medium. In my medium, the problem of the machine is as acute as it is to, let's say, a Dalit who is working in a village. It is in such opposition that I see machine. What machine has done to my medium is simply this: a medium which is essentially a human communication medium, a medium which is essentially meant to make people learn communication skills. It's a game. Theatre is a game. It's a game like football game or a cricket game or something, and this game we have evolved through human civilization in order to learn communication skills, and we have made this game into a one-sided entertainment. करने वाले नाटक को हमने देखने वाले मनोरंजन बना लिया है, और देखने वाले मनोरंजन और करने वाले थिएटर के बीच में इतना फर्क है, उस फर्क को जानने के लिए हमें बच्चों के पास जाना पड़ेगा. The children's theater, if you go there, you will realize this enormous difference. And this is what started bothering me. And I also started realizing that this manoranjan, the industrial entertainment, the way it had started affecting us, the way it had started affecting our language, our style, our presentation and all that, was truly frightening. Technology came into the theatre, texts were pushed into the background, language was pushed into the background, the mother tongue was going away from the theatre, actor was going away from the theatre. You would have a small actor on a big stage and a huge video image of the same actor in detail showing it. When I see that in detail video projection, I really get very disturbed, because here is an actor in complete who is performing on stage, and a little limb of him or the little eye of an actress or something is shown in a huge thing, and what do I choose? Why should I choose? Do I need to choose between the entire body or the entire personality of an actor and a little limb that is shown through a video image? And then, for example, a lot of this I've been voicing it for the last 3-4 decades, but unfortunately because of this enormous tension I personally had in me, all this was becoming acrimonious. For example, when I raised this question of the National School of Drama not being a national theatre institution, it became acrimonious because I think there was some anger in me which reflected in it, and I was not properly articulating my meaning. My meaning is simply this: theatre has to be performed in my mother tongue. All this thing of interculturalism and all that is fine, but that is not the theatre that we need to do. That's not the theatre that we need to do in this country. This is a country, since 5,000 years, has had its audience in every village in this country. In Europe, you will have to go to Paris, you will have to go to London, you will have to go to New York. But here you don't have to go to New York, you don't have to go to London, you go to any corner of this country. Even today, in spite of all the impoverishment and the horror that we have created, 1,000 people will come, not only come, amazingly they will have heard of Karanji, they will have heard of Nemiji, they will have heard of somebody else. And I have seen this happen in Patna, I have seen this happen in UP, I have seen this happen in somewhere in Kerala. In one seminar in Patna, in a theatre seminar, suddenly somebody gets up and talks of a Kannada writer who even I had not read properly. He was interrelating the two and trying to make a dialogue. We have neglected that. We have become Delhi-centric. And the whole theatre has become, actually theatre has become not one, but it has become two. Either we have gone to the extreme of becoming traditional in a physical sense, just copying some of the external traits of Kathakali or Yakshagana or something, or we have gone to the other extreme of becoming completely technologically oriented, very expensive, and a theatre which cannot be taken anywhere beyond Kamani Auditorium. This actually brings us to the question of Indianness. Some of us refused to get into that bandwagon, not because we did not want to become Indian, but because we realized that that very simplistic notion of Indianness was very dangerous. So we were trying to, how do you become an Indian? If I suddenly go and pick up an element from Kathakali and then I think I have become an Indian, then I am negating the Indian who is inside me. There is an Indian inside me. There is a Natya Shastra which is inside me. I have to get that Natya Shastra out, but first I have to remove whole lot of things which needs to be removed from the past. I am a Brahmin by birth. For me, the problem really was to get into my tradition, but first to get out of my horrible Brahminical notions of tradition. So this was the problem, the whole problem of radicalism as we did 3 decades back. When I look back, I realized that what we were trying to do was angry with that sort of tradition, because we had to get to the real tradition. And what is that real tradition? For example, yesterday I was talking to Tripathi ji. In the difference between the Western theatre and Indian theatre it is so simple and so logical. In the West, space is outside. The space has to be constructed, huge spaces, huge technology, huge sets have to be constructed just to place one actor in front of it, or maybe above it. The greatest revolution that happened in Western scenic design is that पीछे से वो जो सेट था वो अपने पैर पे आ गया. That's the greatest revolution. हमारे में वो स्पेस एक्टर के ऊपर है. All the visual grandeur that we construct in Indian theatre is constructed on the body of the actor. Finish, nothing else. Each actor from each region of this country, each traditional actor is so beautifully made, but beyond that, nothing. It's absolutely bare and simple, and it's absolutely just 9 feet by 12 feet space on which they will create everything. I think this is Indian, and this was necessary because for 5,000 years India has been India, not Europe. For 5,000 years Indian theatre has happened in all sorts of situations where there is snow, situations where there is a desert, situations where there are rivers, forests, Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Everywhere theatre has happened. So theatre has actually adopted itself to these amazingly diverse situations, social situations. For last thousands of years we have been waging this social battle from within theatre. Shudras have been performing their own theatre, interpreting Mahabharata in their own way. The Brahmins have been doing theatre and interpreting the this whatever in their own way. And this fabulous battle is happening, and we want to negate that. So these are the problems that actually made me say, if I can't do theatre, if I can't do art, it's okay, let me just go into a village situation. Let me first become natural. When I went to Hegodu, the first problem that encountered me was the problem of people. What is people? For an artist, who are the people? I am not a politician. I am not asking people to become voters. They are not my voters. The people have to be, related to you. They may not be related to you in a caste sense. They may not be related to you in a class sense, but they have to be related to you in a more organic sense. And suddenly I realized that the great artists and writers of this country, especially during the nationalist phase, they all related to craftspeople, because craftspeople are the cousins of the artists. The Nichida cousins of the artist, if you want to call. But they are, because we talk the same language. We use the same expression. So that is when I said, let me start working with a craft, and the best craft that one can work in India is handlooms, because it is something which is so widespread and so useful and so needed that you will not be producing items of display. You will be producing something which is useful and people can wear it and use it and all that. So I got into handlooms, started working with people. I reduced my travel. I continued to do theatre, but I did theatre when I could, and continued to. But one thing that I did not give up is to teach actors. Here I must say I got inspired by K.G. Subramaniam. K.G. Subramaniam did this several decades back when his other artists, by constantly going into exhibitions and constantly getting sold and all that, they became popular. But K.G. sir constantly taught painters, and through students he built his own base. I also realized that this is a wonderful way of doing it, because after all we are a very small community. Theatre people is not a very big community, and within this community, if you have to make sense, it is better to make sense through creating a generation of young actors, young theatre directors and all that. So I have been actually training actors and training theatre people for a long time. It's now 3-4 decades I've been doing it, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And in fact, it is this which resulted in the book which has come out, Indian Method in Acting. And when I was writing this book, that is when I realized the connections about which I talked, the connection between the social and larger concerns and your artistic concerns, the connection between globalization and the little play that you do, the connection between machine and television, the connection between Desi lifestyle and folk art, and all this became clear when I started writing this book. Because while writing this book, the first thing that I had to answer to myself is, why do we act? You realize that you act. This is, before you ask this question, why do you act? You ask this question, why is theatre false? Why is the base of theatre false? Why do we create this false base? And suddenly it strikes you that unless you create the false base, you cannot reach truth. Because what is preventing you from reaching truth is reality. And actors have this very difficult problem. They have to handle reality. Reality is the only thing they can use. It is the real space on which they have to stand. It is the real society which they have to handle. It is the real language which they have to speak. And yet they have to transcend reality. And the only way you can transcend reality is by introducing this, you call it the art, you call it the falsity, you call it theatre, where you actually first tell the actor that you are not you. You first tell the actor that you are not wearing your own dress. You first tell the actor that you are not mouthing your own words. These are not your words. Somebody else has given these words. You can't even change these words. Don't change these words. Use this extremely uncomfortable dress that I am giving it to you. Use the space which is a no man's land. It is not your home, it is not your property, it is not your private property. This is given to you today for 3 hours and then you get out of here. And with that challenge, when I try to make it my own words, my own dress, my own movement, my own Angika and Vachika, that's when truth maybe will come out. So it's an extraordinary game, and it's an extraordinary game that has to be played by every Indian, and especially by younger people, especially by children. And I think we have done a great injustice to India by completely eliminating this game and thrusting television and thrusting all these machine-made, ready-made programs. And these ready-made programs are actually very good. I am not somebody who wants to say that television is bad. Television may be bad today, but television will, let me tell you, television and cinema and internet is going to produce extraordinarily good programs. What will you do then? Even when it produces extraordinarily good programs, even when it starts talking in scientific language, in philosophical terms, even then it is dangerous, because it is making the Indian dumb. तुम्हें बैठ के सुनना है, बैठ के देखना है, करना नहीं है, करने का जरूरत है. See, look at what we have done to this country. 1947 we become independent, and in the last 50 years we have brought this enormous social revolution. We have brought this enormous social revolution through acts of the parliament. कानून के तरफ से हमने इतने सारे बदलाव लाए हैं वो सिर्फ कानून रहा है, क्योंकि वो कानून के साथ साथ जो सामाजिक बदलाव आना था वो हमने किया नहीं है। वो कौन करेगा? दैट यू आर नॉट, मनमोहन सिंह इज नॉट गोइंग टू डू दैट। वी हैड टू डू दैट, थिएटर हैड टू डू। आई थिंक एवरी writer, every playwright did that. मेरे कन्नड़ में जो लंकेश नाटक जब लिखते थे, every play of his was this social tension. In fact, these none of them were communists, none of them were socialists, but all of them, from Bhartendu to today, all those people were trying to use this medium to bring that little social change which was necessary to happen if a healthy society had to grow, to go along with this कानूनी बदलाव जो हम ला रहे हैं, उसके साथ साथ ये चलता तो शायद अच्छा होता। अब क्या हुआ है? we have only a कानूनी बदलाव। Ambedkar has become कानून, Gandhi ji has become कानून। We have created, it's an amazing thing that we have done. There is a Ministry of Textiles in which you put both the sheep and the wolf in the same ministry. In all the ministries it is the same. हैंडलूम को उसी मिनिस्ट्री में डालते हैं, पावरलूम को भी उसी मिनिस्ट्री में डालते हैं, अंबानी को भी उसी मिनिस्ट्री में डालते हैं, और उसमें ज्यादा बोलते हैं हैंडलूम के बारे में, पैसा ज्यादा देते हैं अंबानी को। हम पैसा ले ही नहीं सकते। फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन हैंडलूम्स देयर इज वन scheme which is the scheme of subsidizing machinery. One item of Ambani or whoever it is, they will take 400 to 500 crores through this one thing. And what can a weaver take? Weaver has no machine. The most he can take is replace his old dilapidated loom and bring a new loom which will probably be less efficient than the old loom. So this is what we have done. We have created a country where the Kanun is there and everybody, we are talking of wonderful things. Take for example what has happened to the National School of Drama. All of us, when today I really want to say that I am not putting myself on a platform. No. I share the great dream of the National School of Drama. When I went for the interview, both Nemiji and Alkazi asked me a blunt question. They said, we will take you in, but on one condition. Tell me, will you go back or not? This was the question asked by both of them. I said, sir, I will go back. Probably that question is being asked even today. But we know that nobody will go back. Not only that, we know that nobody can go back. Because we have produced students in theatre who have become misfits in doing theatre in the real Indian situation. Because we have taught them so much of technology, so much of this new thing, so much of money, for example. The requirements have become so this thing. How can we bring a Gandhian society in this country if you have to pay 50,000 rupees to a social activist? MSW activists, you see, they expect and they are paid in all these NGO organizations. It's the same in theatre. So in a situation like this, we have to look at theatre, we have to look at what is happening to this country. In fact, after doing Charkha, in the last 3-4 years, we are going through another phase. In this phase, we are trying to set up an ashram. The word ashram is very, this is like a red rag or a saffron rag, if you call it. we've called it Shramajeevi Ashram. And I must tell you how this thing came up, because it's very interesting. When we started Charkha, which was about, as I said, about 20 years back, in the village where we started Charkha, there was a need for poor people to have jobs. So we thought we were doing a great revolution by actually providing them jobs. Providing them jobs in a cooperative situation. So दोनों सिखाते थे, सहकार को भी सिखाते थे, साथ साथ उनको 2-3 हज़ार रुपए का तनख्वाह भी मिलता था. So the women were happy and all that. Today they don't need jobs. Today the jamindar in the village is the most haggard, terrible human being. In my village, the jamindars take their cars, go to the Harijan colony early in the morning by about 7:38, park the car there, get the Harijan onto the car, drive them to the Supari fields, pay them 250 rupees in my village. It is 450 rupees in South Canara. It is nearly 500 rupees in Kerala per day. And let me tell you, the plight of the peasantry, rich peasantry, forget about the small peasantries, forget about the landless labor, is so pathetic that half the Indian villages have already become empty. जो बचे हैं वहां गांव में वो बूढ़े हैं. हमारे बुनकर लोगों के बीच में आप उनके एज आप देखेंगे तो 50 साल से नीचे है ही नहीं. और बुनकर लोगों से आप पूछिए कि आप आपके बेटे क्यों नहीं आ रहे, वो कह रहे क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप, मैं तो बूढ़ा हूं, मैं फंस गया हूं यहां, मेरे बेटे को बिल्कुल मैं बुनकरी में मैं लाऊंगा नहीं. दिस इज द सिचुएशन ऑल ओवर द कंट्री. एंड इवन इन दिस प्लान what we are doing is, in the name of creating jobs in the villages, we are actually driving them away from the villages. But because the industry that we have identified are all heavy machine, heavy industry, city based industry, only name their village industry in the sense of, for example, this will produce tractors, so it is rural industry. You produce tractors, it becomes a rural industry. You produce something else, it becomes a rural industry. This is what we are doing. And our ministers shamelessly are saying that by 2030, about 65-70% of the population will be living in just 5 metropolis of this country. And what theatre are we talking about? What art are we talking about? What is the meaning of art in this situation? So, this Shramajeevi Ashram that we are trying to construct became necessary because suddenly we realized that there is no need for giving them jobs. There is no need for what we were doing 20 years back. There is a need for making the few villagers left in the village to stay in the village with some confidence and some dignity. And in order to make this happen, to make the villagers stay back in the village with dignity and this thing, the real problem is, let's face it, it is the social reality, the caste system, the untouchability. After thousands of years in this country, even today, the problem in the village is not poverty. Poverty is also there, but poverty is not so much of the problem. People are going away from the village because of social inequality. मैं जब मयूर विहार में रहता था, मयूर विहार में मैं वहाँ के जो मलयाली लोग जो वहाँ आए थे उनसे बात करता था. I used to tell them, why have you people come to Delhi to work here for 100 rupees? At those times, they used to get about 80 to 100 rupees. Why have you come to Delhi when in Kerala at that time it was 150 rupees? They could have earned 150 rupees per day staying in their lovely villages with all their shallow waters and greenery and all that. They would come to Mayur Vihar and work for 80 rupees with all that horrible mosquitoes and all that. Because they said, As long as I stay in Kerala, I will be a Achut. I come to the city, there is a possibility of not me, my daughters or my sons, getting out of this thing. So in a sense, they were actually committing a suicide, one generation committing suicide, so that at least the next, which is true, which we see is true. So actually there are two phases to globalization. One phase is the policy level push towards huge machines and huge industry and urbanization, and then the other phase of it is that the poor people want to come to the city whether you like it or not. The poor people are asking कि जो आपने जो किया हमने भी करना चाहेंगे, आपने इंग्लिश सीख लिया और हमें अब कह रहे हैं कि तुम हिंदी में बोलो, नहीं बोलेंगे हिंदी में, हम इंग्लिश में ही बोलेंगे. So this is the problem which we have to actually handle. So the only way you can handle this problem is by using the same argument which Tolstoy, the old man, the crazy old man, mentioned of the bread labor. Tolstoy said that you could be doing intellectual labor, you could be doing spiritual labor by becoming Sri Sri Ravi Shankar or Sri Sri whatever. You could be doing artistic labor by becoming a M.F. Hussain or a Raza or a B.V. Karan. But for your bread, you have to do hard labor. And he also, as you all know, tried to practice that. I think today an artist is faced with this very, very simple fundamental question. And we are only looking away from that question, including me. I am not, as I said, I am not standing on a platform and saying this, but the question is very simple. Today ideologies don't matter. The poor people just don't believe you when you mouth all those fancy revolutionary slogans. They just don't believe you. They mistrust you. They have become cynical. They will only believe you if you change your lifestyle. They will only believe you if you start doing bread labor. You know this controversy that is raging all over. I was just joking with Ashok about the Jaipur controversy. See, what is the controversy? The controversy is simply this, that the Shudras of this country, of India, of Bharat, they were Shudras of, both by profession and by caste, they were untouchables. And what have we done? We have introduced a Qanun through which we have reserved the upper caste jobs for the lower caste Shudras. So we thought that we can eradicate the caste system by bringing hordes of untouchables onto the upper caste thing. And you try to prevent that, they will become angry, naturally. Because they say that you are trying to prevent us from what you are enjoying. And this is the dilemma facing us. This is the dilemma about which Gandhiji tried to talk, but I think his language was not perfect. At least in this one sense, Gandhiji's language did not become perfect. He kept saying that जात के पीड़ा जाना चाहिए मगर वर्णाश्रम धर्म नहीं जाना चाहिए. And Ambedkar was furious with Gandhiji for saying this. But what Gandhiji meant was, don't destroy the Shudra professions. He was worried not about the other thing, but the Shudra professions being destroyed was what was Gandhiji worried about, and this is exactly what is happening today. Through this partial revolution, the Kanuni revolution that we have brought, we are bringing the people who are doing the hard labor into the upper caste, and we upper caste people are happily sitting with our own coats and pants and this thing. And so as a result, the entire country is getting devoid of people who will practice hard labor. Maybe it is all right. Maybe machines can replace hard labor. At least that is what we are deceiving ourselves with. We think that the machine can actually replace a Dalit. I think we are wrong, totally wrong. We are ecologically wrong, we are socially wrong in thinking like that. And this is the situation in which the art has to answer certain questions. We have to see what is it that we are going to say tomorrow. So we are planning to start the Shramjeevi Ashram where people will, all of us hopefully will undress ourselves, deconstruct ourselves and persuade the village people to feel happy, to feel proud and confident of hard labor. And I want to continue to do theatre. It's not that I've given up theatre. I want to continue to write, I want to continue to do art practice, but I want to do it in this context, if I can. If I can't, I don't mind. I don't mind not doing theatre, I don't mind not doing poetry if it cannot be done in this context. Because when the main social contradiction or the main social drama is happening elsewhere and we are completely isolated from that and trying to create a false drama, it has no sense, you know. So this is the dilemma facing all of us, and in my own way I am trying to handle this problem. As far as my process goes, which is what I'm sorry, I think I deviated a little too much. As far as the process goes, it's even before I left Delhi, I realized that the theatre has to become actors' theatre. Actor and actor and actor, nothing more. See, let us face it. In theatre, there are actually three constituents. One constituent is actor, the second constituent is the audience, the third constituent is the character. इसमें दो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स रियल कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स है, एक्टर रियल है, ऑडियंस रियल है, तीसरा कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट अनरियल है, कैरेक्टर, एंड दैट इज द क्रिएटिविटी. नाउ in these three constituents, I think we are bringing all sorts of other fourth, fifth or 100 constituents in terms of sets, in terms of this, in terms of that, and so many things, and we are getting confused. So we have to actually deconstruct all these things and come to the focus, come to the basic thing, which is actor-based theatre. We have to do that in terms of space. We have to do that in terms of, for example, narrative. We've completely lost the narrative, and people want narrative. People are watching all those Bollywood cinema because even today, in spite of the horrors that the Bollywood cinema is propagating, it has very strong narrative. And people enjoy narrative. People want to watch Yakshagana again and again, the same Yakshagana, the same this thing, they come and watch because they know that there will be the slight difference in the narrative, which is what they enjoy. So this is, for example, when I did Uttaram Charit, I was basically trying to become an Indian theatre director. Nobody understood that, or at least few people understood it. Most people think that I am not an Indian theatre director. Karanji used to call me, I used to get so angry with Karanji. Karanji used to say, तुम भोपाल आओ और एक चकाव करो. मैंने कहा कारणजी क्यों, चकाव क्यों? आप मालवी का अग्निमित्र करेंगे और मैं चकाव करूं, क्यों? You know, so you see, it is not that one wanted to do chakav. I want to do chakav, I want to do Ibsen, but I want to do Indian theatre, and I think the best example of Indianness, according to me, is Habib Saab or Fritz Benevitz. Fritz Benevitz's theatre can be understood in terms of Natya Shastra. His, especially Caucasian Chalk Circle, which he did some nearly 35 years back which was brought here from Maharashtra. It was a production which was an exemplary production in terms of what essentially Natya Shastra talks about. But we have been looking at Natya Shastra as a text with a series of classifications. I'm sorry, we had this debate in Cochin. I'm saying this again and again about this classifications in Natya Shastra and our fascination with the classifications in Natya Shastra, because all the while when I was as a student trying to understand Natya Shastra, they would say there are 8 rasas. No, there are 9 rasas. And then I realized that the Pandits have been fighting with each other whether it is 8 or 9 for the last several hundred years. And then some 64 this thing and 34 this thing and some 16 thing. You see, one is not negating that. But the point is, nobody tried to tell us that Natya Shastra is talking about the actor. Nobody tried to tell us that Natya Shastra is telling us that नाटक एक खेल है. पश्चिम को यह मालूम नहीं था कि नाटक खेल है. हमें मालूम था कि एक खेल है, हमें मालूम था कि खेलना है. हमें मालूम था कि रियलिटी एंड ट्रूथ, इसके बीच का जो अंतर है, जब तक वो अंतर हमें समझने में नहीं आता है, हम आर्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं. उनको मालूम नहीं था ये. They did not know the difference between truth and reality. Ibsen did not know the truth between truth and reality. Ibsen handled a social theme, a wonderful theme, extraordinarily revolutionary, but finally what happens? It results in the breakup of the marriage. We all clapped, all the doors banged and everybody clapped, but after 100 years we realized that banging the door and having a divorce is not the solution to this horrible problem of male chauvinism. We have to handle it. Because what are we trying to say? So there is a Natya Shastra within us, and that is what we need to get out, and we don't need to hesitate to take things, as Gandhiji said, you get things from all over, but don't get blown out of your feet. I think I should stop here. I see people watching their watches.
No.
But no.
There will be questions.
Yeah, we will take questions. Thank you so much for listening to me. I wanted to be more peaceful, but I know I still became involved. I'll gradually get over this problem of getting too involved.
Now you have to be brief and ask questions. Go ahead. The first one is always difficult, but yes. Yes, go ahead.
मेरा नाम राजेश चंद्र है. पटना में थिएटर करता रहा, अभी दिल्ली में रह रहा हूँ. मेरे 2 छोटे सवाल हैं जो आपके वक्तव्य से ही निकल कर आए हैं. एक तो आपने ये कहा कि रंगमंच में जो प्रशिक्षण का हमारा तरीका है, खास करके आपने राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय के संदर्भ में ये बात रखी थी, तो आपने कहा कि वो हमारी भारतीय परिस्थितियों के हिसाब से वो शायद सही नहीं है. तो एक तो ये कि छोटा सवाल ये है मेरा कि भारतीय परिस्थितियों के मुताबिक प्रशिक्षण का, अभिनेता के प्रशिक्षण का हमारा तरीका क्या होना चाहिए, उसका स्वरूप क्या होना चाहिए. और जो दूसरा सवाल है वो ये कि वो भी आपकी बात से जुड़ा हुआ सवाल है कि आज खास करके फिर वही संदर्भ राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय का है कि एक खास तरह का जो थिएटर आज सामने आ रहा है और जिसमें राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय की एक बड़ी भूमिका नजर आती है, वो ये है कि रंगमंच से नाटककार और अभिनेता का महत्व कम हुआ है, आपने कहा, और कहा कि जो विजुअल्स हैं वो ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण होकर, ज़्यादा बड़े होकर सामने आ रहे हैं. तो ऐसे में नाटककार की और अभिनेता की वापसी कैसे संभव होगी, और क्या इस वापसी के लिए हमें बड़े बड़े उत्सव करने होंगे, हमें 4 करोड़ के नाटक करने होंगे, हमें अंधायुक करना होगा, हमें तुगलक करना होगा, तभी अभिनेता की वापसी होगी? ये मेरा सवाल है.
See, this question, I don't want to answer it directly. Not that it's not possible. I want to say that let us go where people need theatre, they will teach us what to do. See, I gave the example of Lankesh, who was like Rakesh. Lankesh actually was not a playwright, he was a short story writer. In the 70s, when the social and political explosion happened, he chose to do drama. He chose to write plays. He felt the need for writing plays. Rakesh ji also was not a playwright. He chose to write plays. Why did they choose to write plays? Because they suddenly realized, and we always have been realizing, that when you want to come to the crux of the point, you have to write a play. You cannot write a poem. I mean, you can also write poem, but
How dare you say that?
but people have come into drama. They write plays. और वो नाटक आधे अधूरे रहा है, वही अच्छी बात है. You know, I am so fascinated by the name given by Rakesh ji to his play Aadhe Adhure, because I believe that all the great plays are Aadhe Adhure plays. Hamlet, for example. Hamlet is one of the most Aadhe Adhure plays that one can write. Nothing gets resolved. And in fact, all those things that actually happen, which really, raises all these philosophical questions and all that, are things which are almost extraneous to the structure of the play. And all well-structured plays are bad plays. I can give you examples, but I don't want to do that today. Very well-structured, extremely structured and resolved plays invariably turn out to be bad plays. So let us go into Patna. Let us take the National School of Drama into Patna, or maybe even beyond Patna. You see, let us realize that in Hindi region, there is the possibility of 7 national schools of dramas coming into the Hindi region. Why are we trying to stop that? Whose ambition is it that there should be just one national school of drama situated in Delhi? Why? Are we not torturing our students who come from some other language? वहाँ से आके कोई भाषा उनको मालूम ही नहीं है, उसमें बोलना पड़ता है, उसमें जीना पड़ता है, और उसमें, I mean, an Assami girl is smiling here. So this is what I am saying, and they will tell you. I cannot tell you. You can't tell this solution. The solution will come automatically.
Yes.
नहीं, प्रसन्ना, राजेश चंद ने बहुत वैलिड सवाल किया है, जिसका आगे एक्सटेंशन ये है कि पिछले 5 सालों में जो गवर्नमेंट मनी है, जिसको कॉर्पोरेट सपोर्ट कर रहा है, उसी को गवर्नमेंट मनी फ्लो हो रही है. जो उन्होंने 5 करोड़ 10 करोड़ की बात की, ये हालत है. जबकि बिहार, बंगाल, नॉर्थ ईस्ट, वहां 20-20 हजार रुपए नहीं है लोगों के पास. So how we should stop this, that government money should go to the people. The mediators of culture and theatre, they are grabbing it. They are stealing the public money. So like this, like some directors produce a play in any institution and spend 85 lakhs rupees, it's the cultural crime. You produced in Uttaram Chaitri, I think 10,000 or 15,000. So this is the question, that how we should pull the government money to the people.
See, it's a very simple thing, I have a very experienced bureaucrat sitting next to me. He can answer this question. When you give funds, you should know where to give funds and where not to give funds. You should give funds in areas which will not kill the initiative of the people. For example, all over the country, theatre infrastructure is so desperate, so put the money in the infrastructure. As they say about electricity, as they say about cement, as they say about steel. In theatre also, the fact remains that you have to build the infrastructure, but don't give the money to an artist. Because that is corruption. You may be giving it through Ministry of Culture,
आपको 10 लाख रुपए कोई आर्टिस्ट को और कैसे देते हैं? हम जाते हैं वहां और वो सेक्रेटरी साहब से मिलते हैं और सेक्रेटरी साहब कहते हैं अरे बहुत अच्छा आर्टिस्ट है, उसको दे दो 10 लाख रुपए। कौन होते हो तुम देने के लिए 10 लाख रुपए? गिव इट फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. For example, in this whole country there are no rehearsal halls. How much will it cost? Even with this expenditure, 10 lakh rupees, you will build a rehearsal hall in every town. They all have their lands. The government has the land. Build this thing. Subsidize tickets, for example. I have been talking about it for last 10 years. We should subsidize the audience and not the theatre groups. नाटक देखने के लिए कोई आए, एक कोई नाटक के लिए 10,000 लोग आते हैं तो वो 10,000 लोगों के लिए you subsidize the ticket so that the money goes to the audience and not to the. So there are ways of doing it. We have been doing it in other sectors, but unfortunately in culture sector we have not done that. We should do that.
Interestingly,
नाम भी बताते चलिए.
my name is Rajendran. Interestingly, in the last 3 days, I've been hearing 3 important theatre directors, including you, concluding towards their lecture, end of their lecture, underscoring the significance and the importance of Natya Shastra, Sanskrit. Yesterday, Mohan Maharishi here concluded by saying his long yatra comes up to the end that we must go back to Sanskrit Ramarji, look at it in a modern critical perspective and all that. A day before Sahitya Academy, another important theatre person was talking about Natya Shastra. But I do not know, there is no institution in this country which puts Natya Shastra into practice. Even if a little work is done in some places, they are systematically removed. Like they remove the text, they remove the language, they remove the playwright, they remove the actor from taking the center stage. Systematically it has been going on. I fail to understand how the 3 eminent theatre directors have come to this conclusion that Natya Shastra should be read afresh, critically, from a modern perspective. I don't think anybody, any institution in this country is doing anything about it. On the other hand, they systematically destroy.
See, my focus is on developing Indian theatre in the contemporary situation. Indian contemporary actors have Indianness in them. We did not do anything about Indian actors. We were talking of tradition. You see, an Indian actor is distinct. He is very different from a Western actor. Kurosawa's actor who did the bandit in Rashomon is so distinctive because he comes from a distinctive acting tradition and he's a contemporary actor, he's not a traditional actor. I can give you 100 examples of such things from Indian actors. So मैं कह रहा हूँ वहां से ले ले हम हमारे नाट्य शास्त्र को, पंडित से नहीं ले ले.
Yeah, it's more practiced than read.
Yeah, we must construct our Natya Shastra. You see, the same problem Greeks also had. Many of the Greek theatre directors had this problem because they also have a heavy tradition weighing on their heads. They resolved it. We have not resolved it. We have created a schism between tradition and modernity because everybody is happy with the schism between tradition and modernity. I think we should resolve this thing. I am both modern in certain aspects and traditional in certain aspects. I should be proud of it. In that sense, there is a need for people like you to reinterpret and rewrite and present a Natya Shastra which is more accessible not just to the Brahmin, not just to the Pandit, but to hundreds and thousands of theatre actors. Do you know, in all the theatre institutions, do you know something amazing has happened in the last 2-3 decades? Have you been noticing the inflow of actors into the schools, whether it is the National School of Drama in Delhi or the Ninasam? It's all Shudra students. Why are they coming into theatre? They are coming into theatre because they are the ones who need communication. They are the ones who want to learn communication because कानूनी तरफ से उनको तो सेंटर स्टेज पे लिया है, मगर अब वो बोलना चाहते हैं, सीखना चाहते हैं, कैसे बोलूं, कैसे संभालूं. And this is an amazing thing that has happened, and we are not bothering about it. All those Dalit students who come into drama school or to Ninasan, they are not made to go back to their states. They are made to hang over in Delhi. What will those students do in Delhi? So let us make them go back to their communities, to their societies, to their mother tongues, for heaven's sake.
My name is Kabir. I want to ask, you talked about 3 focal points, the actor, the character and the audience. What about the setting where all the 3 would exist?
We did not have a setting. In fact, yesterday, Tripathi ji was saying that Bharata insists that the musicians are seated right bang on the stage, that too in the center of the stage. Why? Because for us, which physical space doesn't matter. We are bothered about the metaphorical space, and we construct a metaphorical space. So, well, I am not trying to say that all contemporary theatre directors should banish stage set design. No, I am not saying that. But what I am trying to say is we should push them away from that, because this is more comfortable for India. This is more convenient for India. This is more cost effective for India. In one production that you can do with all those sets and Kamani Auditorium and all that, you can do 100 productions. Even today, do you know that in 5,000 rupees theatre productions are being done all over the country? And some of them are wonderful productions. And in Delhi, you can't do a production for less than 10 lakhs of rupees. I am not blaming the people who are doing it. I am only trying to draw your attention to a situation that we have developed as a society.
I want you to resolve the contradiction in what you have said. On the one hand, you have said that the National School of Drama makes their students unfit for going back to their own places. On the second hand, you just said that the National School of Drama should do this, we must send them back. How do you resolve this?
First of all, National School of Drama should go into India. I already have said this to Rajendra. I am still committed to the fact that this country should have a National School of Drama in every national language of this country, which will mean another 20. And they need not be just copies of the Delhi school. They should
Not
be.
they should not.
They should not be. They should not be. They should be built organically. For example, each region in this country is rich in certain aspects of theatre, poor in certain aspects of theatre. There are regions in this country which are gold mine in terms of drawing from the folk theatre. There are regions in this country which are gold mines in terms of technology, stagecraft, makeup, this, that and all that. There are regions in this country which are very strong in terms of playwriting traditions. So we should take all that into consideration and build drama schools which will perform in mother tongue. Simple, mother tongue. Occasionally, if somebody wants to do intercultural, intracultural thing where one person is speaking French, the other person is speaking German, and the third person is speaking Malayalam, okay, do that, I don't mind. But if you're trying to project that, let me tell you, I've seen some of those productions, invariably, the one who speaks Malayalam will become a buffoon. And I'm not saying this out of spite, but this has happened for last 2,500 years. For last 2,500 years, since Natya Shastra, दुष्यंत संस्कृत में बोलेंगे और वो विदूषक मलयाली में बोलेंगे. वही होगा, वो नहीं होना चाहिए. केरल के दुष्यंत मलयालम में बोलेगा. Punjabi Dushyant will speak in Punjabi. That should be the thing.
संजय, मैं क्योंकि ये अंतरंग बातचीत है, एक दूसरी तरह का सवाल आपसे, व्यक्तिगत किस्म का सवाल पूछना चाहूँगा कि मैं जानना चाहूँगा कि आपके जीवन में कुछ ऐसे मोड़ जो कि आप जिनको अहम मानते हैं, और जो लोग जिन लोगों ने आपको प्रेरित किया, कुछ ऐसी एक आध कुछ इंसिडेंट बताएं जिसने आपके जीवन को नई दिशा दी, आपके क्रिएटिव जीवन को या कि आपकी सोशल सोच को। आपने सुब्रमण्यम जी का जिक्र किया, उनसे आप इंस्पायर्ड थे, लेकिन कुछ और अगर जिक्र कर सकें तो।
See, undoubtedly it is the teachers, Mr. Alkazi and Mr. Nebiji. And let me tell you, we had such a happy contradiction in the sense that they were so completely different from each other. You know, Alkazi was, because if he was the North Pole, Nebiji was the South Pole. And so we had, I had tensions with both of them. But I have learned so much from them that I have mentioned it in this book. You know, especially with Alkazi, I used to really have huge problems. My main problem was that he used to have a soft corner for the convent educated students. And but then it was natural for him because he was convent educated, he was from somewhere like that. But then when he saw our Ranjit Kapoor, he knew that here is something tremendous. So he would eventually come around to support them, push them and all that. So today when I look back, I feel that all those tense relationships one had with our teachers was a wonderful thing. For example, I still remember and I still practice it because of Alkazi Saab. Every day he would come at 7:15 driving that standard car of his, a dilapidated standard car of his. He will come to the hostel, visit every room and check if we have cleaned up our beds, if we have cleaned up our toilets and all that. This is Gandhi. When Alkazi Saab did this, we did not think that it is Gandhian. We thought that he was intruding into our private space. Our private space was a dirty toilet and a dirty bed. So there, undoubtedly we were very fortunate to have great teachers. Our Sanskrit teacher, Nibhaji, for example. She used to be so mild and so frightened. Let me tell you this is something which maybe one should, but then now she's too old. It used to be so funny because those days she was going through a bad marriage. And we were in the third floor of Ravindra Bhavan. And that poor husband, the image of her husband was always a very poor man because he was also, the moment he came, she would see it from the window of the third floor and she would be like a frightened kitten, running here, running there and trying to hide and all that. And the same lady, the sort of insights she used to give us was so amazing. I was doing Tughlaq, for example, and I was trying to do music. One day she came, sat through the rehearsals for about 2 hours, and quietly she told me that, Prasanna, did you know that the entire Islamic music, it is the silence that punctuates sound. And then she actually explained what she meant by that. She said, did you know that they actually belong to the desert? And in the desert, during the day they could not do anything because it would be 44 degrees or whatever. And in the night, when it became quiet of sound, quiet of temperature, of wind, the wind blowing across, it would all become quiet, and then they would start playing the music. So the music was essentially not noise, but silence, punctuated here and there by sound. So, such extraordinary vision was passed on very quietly by some of our teachers. Alkazi Saab used to take us every week to Jama Masjid. And those days in Jama Masjid there used to be Kabaddi Bazaar, and he used to take us, get us a cup of tea in that wonderful little dhabas there, like little shops. And that practice of getting beauty from out of second-hand material has not left me for last 40 years. I mean, I can recount it for endlessly on these things and about so many teachers.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. हमारी तरफ देखो ना तुम।
मेरा नाम राधा वल्लभ त्रिपाठी है। मेरी एक समस्या है, आपको मैं सुन रहा हूँ 2 दिन से और आपकी किताब मैंने सरसरी तौर पर देखी। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि एक नाट्यशास्त्र आपने भी अपने ढंग का लिख दिया और जो बोल रहे हैं उसमें भी एक नाट्यशास्त्र है। लेकिन जो मुझे लगता है कि जिस नाट्यशास्त्र की चर्चा मैं कर रहा हूँ वो आप जो नाट्यशास्त्र दे रहे हैं उसके मुकाबले थोड़ा ज़्यादा लिबरल है। तो ये मेरी समस्या है कि जब आप कहते हैं कि एक्टर्स थिएटर है और ठीक है, आप 2 एक्सट्रीम्स की बात करते हैं। एक तो कथकली या कुडियाट्टम की मुद्राएं ओढ़ ली हैं और उनको पुनरावृत्ति एक तरह से कर रहा है। दूसरा एक सारा स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी से पैदा करके थिएटर कर रहा है। और आप एक तीसरी बात करते हैं कि वो शरीर पर ही सारा स्पेस है। तो आप खुद क्या एक एक्सट्रीम पैदा नहीं कर रहे हैं और आप आग्रह कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आग्रह फिर कम से कम भरत मुनि जो नाट्यशास्त्र लिख रहे हैं तो वो नहीं करते। वो कहते हैं कि शायद ऐसे भी हम तो ये कह रहे हैं लेकिन ऐसे भी हो सकता है। तो प्रॉपर्टीज के यूज के बारे में फिर वो विकल्प बहुत सारे देते हैं कि एक्टर्स जो दूसरे अभिनेता हैं वो ऐसा ऐसा कर सकते हैं, करते रहे हैं, करेंगे। मैं ऐसा बता रहा हूँ तो ठीक है, ऐसा हो सकता है। तो आप एक किस्म की थोड़ी सी डिक्टेटरशिप में जाकर के समाप्त करेंगे अपना रंगमंच अगर ये, और उसका जो संसार है वो उसकी संभावनाओं का संसार है, वो मेरे ख्याल में है कि उस पर विचार किया जाता रहेगा, जाता रखना चाहिए।
मैं मानता हूँ आपकी बात, मगर इसका ज़रूरत इसलिए पड़ रहा है कि वो जो एक्सेस आपने बताया वो हो चुका है। हमारे थिएटर में इतना एक्सेस हो चुका है कि सेट्स फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई हैव सीन प्रोडक्शंस वेयर लेट अस से you need one chair. You'll have put 5 chairs. Out of the 5 chairs, the 4 chairs the actor will not even have sat there once. You need one property, they will have put 20 properties because they want it to look real. पूरे सेट पे फोटोज लगा देंगे, हुसैन को लगा देंगे, किसी का और को लगाएंगे, और वो हुसैन बेवकूफ जैसे वहां है। Nobody is trying to relate that Hussein to the play. You know, I'm sure you have seen these productions. See, this is wrong. This is vulgarity. This is insensitivity. Whatever is there on stage, it has to make a connection. It has to make a sense. The smallest thing, the bee in Abhijnana Shakuntalam is the smallest being, and the bee is the biggest being. You know, we don't realize this. We don't realize how important these things are. For example, in Bertolt Brecht's play Mother, that बर्तन जो माँ ने सामने ऐसे रख के, पहले बात बोलने से पहले, नाटक शुरू नहीं हुआ है, she comes on stage and she thrusts that बर्तन and says, देखिए मैं क्या करूं, घर में कुछ है ही नहीं, यू नो, फैट नहीं है, मटन नहीं है, मैं कैसे मेरे बच्चे को खाना बनाऊं. Now what is thrust onto the audience is that one property which makes the entire statement. पूरे नावल पढ़ने का जरूरत ही नहीं है आपको. That sensitivity we have lost. So I am not against property. I am not against sets. But I want, you see, when something has gone into the extreme, you have to also give a little extra energy to bring it to the madhyam. मैं मध्यम मार्गी हूँ. Nobody believes that.
Nor even you, perhaps. Yes. Anybody else?
मुझे भी, मेरा नाम कीर्ति, मुझे भी थोड़ी सी ये परेशानी हुई कि जो प्रसन्ना जी को लगता है कि सही है रंगमंच वैसा ही होना चाहिए, बाकी सब हटा देना चाहिए, इससे थोड़ी परेशानी है क्योंकि बहुत अलग अलग दृष्टियां हैं, बहुत अलग अलग तरीके हैं एक्सप्रेशन के, और उनमें बहुत अलग अलग पोजीशंस हैं. जैसे हमको ये बड़ी चिंता होती है कि अभिनेता खोया जा रहा है, उसमें अभिनेता की पोजीशन बदलती है सिर्फ, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. और उसमें बेहतर ये होगा कि हम वो एग्जाम्पल्स ना लें इस चीज़ को प्रूव करने के लिए जो कमज़ोर एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, जहाँ पे कि किसी ने इनसेंसिटिविटी से काम किया, पर वो एग्जाम्पल्स लें जहाँ पर उससे एक नहीं 10 पैरेलल टेक्स्ट तैयार हुए हैं, और वो 10 पैरेलल टेक्स्ट हमको उसी टेक्स्ट को एक तरह की पोइटिक क्वालिटी देते हैं. तो चाहे वो सेट है, चाहे वो म्यूजिक है, चाहे वो लाइट्स हैं, वो सब अगर पैरेलल टेक्स्ट बनाती हैं तो हमारे लिए वो अनुभव उतना ही ज़्यादा समृद्ध होता है. तो मुझे ये लगता है कि सिर्फ एक आर्थिक प्रश्न तक ना उतार दिया जाए रंगमंच को, रंगमंच के अलग अलग एलिमेंट्स को, पर उसमें कहाँ ज़रूरत है, कहाँ वो ज़रूरत उस अर्थ को ज़्यादा गहरा करेगी, इसको ध्यान में रख के बात कही जाए या देखी जाए या बरती जाए तो अच्छा है.
मैं मानता हूँ ये बात, एंड आई ऑल्सो एग्री दैट आई कैन बिकम अ लिटिल एक्सेसिव समटाइम्स, बट आई ऑल्सो वांट टू रिमाइंड यू दैट व्हेनेवर such changes happen, it is always said excessively. I'm sure it has happened in Hindi literature, but let me give you an illustration from Kannada literature. You know, we call our great Renaissance, Kannada Renaissance, as Navodaya, which produced our Karan, which produced our Bendre, which produced our Shivaram Karan and all that. After Navodaya, when the Navya tradition came, we call it Navya, the modernist tradition. Navya tradition के जो लेखक थे, the way they attacked Shivaram Karan, the way they attacked Kuvempu, the way they attacked Bendre was blasphemous. But they had to do that. This has happened all through the history of all art traditions, because otherwise, if you put it in a very mild manner, because after all, yes, it is my stand and they have the right to perform there, but when you say that there is something grievously wrong with the artistic style, you have to say it with a little excess. But sometimes I can become even more excessive and I ask my apologies.
Yes, anybody else? The last chance. Yes, the Assamese lady. Please, say your name.
My name is Fantastic Sir Jhilmil. Yes, I'm Jhilmil Hazarika. मैं आपके स्टूडेंट हूँ सर. मैं आपके प्ले में काम किए हैं और मैं बस इतना जानना चाहूँगी कि मैं पहली बार आपके जो प्रोडक्शन था अग्निपरखा में मैंने पहली बार एक्टर को कि डायलॉग के अलावा भी वॉइस को कैसे यूज़ करते हैं, इवन जब सांस लेते हैं उसको भी किस तरह एक परफॉर्मेंस में डाल सकते हैं, मैंने पहली बार देखा था. और मैंने आखिरी किताब भी किया आपके साथ. बट मुझे हमेशा लगता है आप मतलब आपके प्रोडक्शन में म्यूज़िक हर डायरेक्टर के लिए होता है, बट आपका अलग सा एक मतलब सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर है म्यूज़िक के प्रति. तो आप अपने प्रोडक्शन में म्यूज़िक को किस हिसाब से डालते हैं? मतलब मेरा क्वेश्चन आपको समझ में आ रहा है ना सर, क्योंकि मैं ठीक से बोल नहीं पा रही हूँ, लेकिन जो बोल रही हूँ वो शायद समझ में आया.
म्यूजिक के बारे में मुझे मुश्किल है, but sound factor.
Yes.
See,
I have felt it, for example, when I have done plays in another language. You know, when I am doing a play in Hindi, I don't know Hindi well, even now. But then, I would know when an actor uses the Hindi wrongly, I would immediately know. Now, how do I know? Because the language itself tells you. Good language has a certain pattern. Every good language has its own pattern, which, for example, you will see in, for example, you know, the Kerala tradition, Kuthampulam, Kudiyattam. When you hear Kudiyattam, you don't have to know Malayalam. You know that extraordinary pattern, the sound pattern that they create. So what you have to become sensitive is to this pattern. And this pattern can lead you not just to speech patterns, but it can also to lead to musicality. So I don't, in fact, you know, there is a joke in Karnataka that Karanji directs a play with a harmonium. Karanji के सामने हारमोनियम नहीं होता है तो वो नाटक डायरेक्ट नहीं कर सकते. मैं तो हथौड़ी से कर रहा हूँ. मेरे हाथ में हथौड़ी होना चाहिए. So actually I am unmusical. I can't sing. But then I have a sense for the sound pattern, which I have developed especially, thankfully, because I have worked a lot in non-Kannada language. You see, one of the problems for theatre people is what I call, I have used it in the book also, the terror of meaning. ये जो अर्थ का जो problem है ना, वो तो it's a terror, it's a dictator, it's Hitler. You see, the moment we want to speak meaningfully, we start talking rubbish. Because all of us are just focusing on meaning and meaning and meaning. Language is not meaning. Meaning also happens, but for heaven's sake, language is communication. Natak is bhav hai. It is, you know, bhav and not this. Because we have become so excessively meaning-oriented, we are stuck in an unmusical world, noisy world, a world which irritates you, which sort of, you know, pokes you into your ear. And one has to get out of that. One has to understand that language is actually emotional, it has a pattern, the pattern is cultural, and then meaning also happens.
Well, I suppose with that, we come to the end of the evening. Thank you very much, Prasanna, for being here, sharing your experiences and your process and your thoughts, and responding to queries and objections raised to some of your thoughts. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming here this evening. We have been at it for more than 1.5 hours. That's almost it. Duration of a play. And thank you very much, and thank you particularly Rajendranath ji, Radha Saab, and others for being here. Thank you.